Voice-to-skull technology, patents, and 5G neurological manipulation machines are going to be going global sooner than you might think. Slow boil weapons of mass destruction in your backyard, across your street, across the street from your children's school, next door to your spouse's work, next to the church, across the street from the daycare where you drop off your baby, because they love you so much. Welcome to the new world order, land of the ignorant, home of the repeaters. Thank goodness for you guys. You guys give me hope for a beautiful future, because there are actually those out there that are still outside of the hive mind, even though we do oftentimes reside inside the Borg. Now, this podcast is brought to you by the new TigerStream 4K T5, the undisputed king of streaming media devices. TigerStream has linked up with Leak Project, and they are offering $100 off right now. Use the code LEAKPROJECT. How would you like to cut your cable or satellite bill today? How much money would that save you? The TigerStream 4K T5 media box gives you unlimited streaming, television, shows, movies, sports, internet, Android games. It's like having your phone and a computer hooked up to your home theater system with an easy-to-use remote and an all-in-one package. And they even have real customer service where you can talk to a live person. How cool is that? Now, let's get into the main focus of discussion. 5G is closer than you think. It's going to change entire industries. We're going to get into that in a minute. We're going to talk about how powerful 5G is, what type of band and frequency it uses that actually, well, it's about 100 times more intense than some of the technologies that are currently being used as far as a frequency level goes. And I don't know how they're going to get away with this, because if you look at the what's called absorption rates that your body is supposed to withstand, it seems to be a lot higher than current standards. So they must be tweaking that or something. But what you are looking at next to me, this is very bizarre. And I think this might link up to some of these strange occurrences where people just go crazy, like that mother that just stabbed all of her kids to death and her husband, and she's smiling about it, and she's giving the thumbs up, and she's praying to Jesus. It's just bizarre. She's all happy about it. And then I think about James Holmes, and I think about Dylan Roof, and I think about a lot of these patsies, and I wonder what type of technologies were being implemented to put them under full-on, psychotic mind control. So what you're looking at right here is actually from Wired Magazine, and this came out a few years ago. Wired Magazine and the danger section of Wired Magazine, I think, used to be spot on. They used to be really, really good. And I don't even know if they have that section anymore, the danger section, because last I checked, it wasn't even there. But this article was from Sharon Weinberger, and it says, Army yanks voice-to-skull devices site. So this actually was doable in 1974, where they could send microwave signals into somebody's brain, and they would hear sounds, they would hear words, they would hear voices. They could be told what to do, where to do it. They could say, hey, this is God. I want you to go out and, think about what the Bible says when God supposedly tells Abraham to go sacrifice his child at the top of a mountain. Sounds like Marduk was probably telling him to do that, but that's just my opinion. But people are like, no, he was just testing him. He was just testing it out. Well, imagine the government having the ability to do that same thing to the masses, to being able to literally manipulate entire towns, entire blocks, an entire school, an entire mall, an entire sports stadium, and put different sounds and different thoughts and different voices in people's heads. They think they're talking to Jesus or an angel or the devil or something, and they could come up with scripts. They could put whatever they wanted to, go right into your mind to manipulate you and be their patsy. What are the possibilities here? Well, look at this patent once again from 74. Each vertical line is one short pulse of microwave signal at a frequency to which the human brain is sensitive. Then the brain converts the train of microwave pulses back to an audible voice. There is no conscious defense possible against the hypnosis. Then, timing of each microwave pulse is controlled by each downslope crossing of the voice wave. So this is Sharp's original 1974 method. Now, silent converted to voice FM hypnosis can be transmitted using a voice frequency modulator to generate the voice, then pulsed microwave voice to skull for distance and cover. raven1.net/hypno2s. Now, the Army's very strange web page on voice to skull weapons has been removed. It was there, and then even stranger, now it's gone. You Google it, you see the entry for it, but the website's linked. Okay, well, this is an older article, but here's what's interesting. Let's go down a little bit here. Non-lethal weapons, which include a neuroelectromagnetic device, which uses microwave transmission of sound into the skull of persons or animals by way of pulse-modulated microwave radiation, and a silent sound device, which can transmit sound into the skull of person or animals. The sound modulation may be voice or audio subliminal messages. One application of V2K is use as an electronic scarecrow to frighten birds in the vicinity of airports. So they use V2K to freak out birds at airports. Well, what are they doing to you? What about the patents that I just shared with you of these boxes, these rectangular boxes that look like something that you would see on a typical cell phone tower, that are neurological manipulators? They manipulate your neurological system. And wait until I show you the frequency that this new 5G that they want to put on every street corner and hide in small cell towers the size of a box to the size of a sports stadium, directly from the belly of the beast, directly from the beast that wants to literally fry you and give you really fast Wi-Fi speeds, right? They want to kill you and give you the ability to download a library of movies in just a matter of seconds. Well, what's more important? Well, I guess that's for the people to decide, isn't it? Now, let's go to the next image here. This guy right here, remember this dude? James Holmes. Look at his freaking eyeballs. Doesn't that guy look like he's just demon possessed? Like the gray goo has literally assimilated him? That's pretty creepy right there. That dude looks like he's got nothing up there. Nothing. And do you know about his dad? And we'll get into his family ties here in a little bit, but just look at those eyes. That reminds me of the myths and the stories you hear about the black-eyed children that knock at your door and they demand to come in. And if you don't let them in, you're okay. But if you let them in, then they never hear from you again. Look at those eyes and tell me that is normal. That is just bizarre. So this is the actual patent of some of the newer technologies that are used to implement a radio frequency hearing effect directly into your mind, directly into your inner ear. You can look up the neurophones where people that are deaf can hear with a neurophone. I used to have one. I wish I wouldn't have sold it, but back in the day I needed the money and that was my option. But I'll pick up another one. But it's cool because I used it for over a year, and these transducers you can just hook up to your skin and you can hear like your skin is it's like almost like a speaker. It turns it into a speaker and you can hear in the inner ear. It's really cool. So it bypasses the conscious mind. And I was doing different beats and stuff like that too. It's Neurophone, patented by Dr. Patrick Flanagan. Guy's brilliant, way ahead of his time. Maybe I can get him on the show sometime. But this right here describes how it creates this sound that then is embedded into your mind. And let me read this to you. A method of encoding an input audio signal to produce a double sideband output signal having an omega subcarrier frequency. Now let me go into this a little bit more. Here we go, summary. In accomplishing the foregoing and related object, the invention uses a modulation process with a fully suppressed carrier and pre-processing filter of the input to produce an encoded output. Where the modulation AM is employed and the pre-processor filtering is of audio-speech input, ineligible subjective sound is produced when the encoded signal is demodulated by means of the RF hearing effect. So it puts it directly into your brain, bypassing any filters. The RF to acoustic demodulator thus has characteristics which permit the conversion of the RF energy input into an acoustic output. Jeez. That is just... Okay, so the invention described herein may be manufactured and used by or for the government for governmental purposes without the payment of any royalty. So the government can use it without any royalty. Here we go. The radio frequency hearing effect was first noticed during World War II as a subjective click produced by pulsed radar signal when the transmitted power is above a threshold level. Below the threshold level, the click cannot be heard. There he is again. And this is thanks to the... There's the... right there on the side. Then look at this guy. Mr. Dylan Roof. He looks about the same here. He looks super happy. This guy looks like the Joker. Like his brain just got fried. And then Dylan looks like he's just like this. There's nothing much there either. There's not much there. He's definitely... And then, recently, Georgia mom charged with killing family smiles in court. She's giving the thumbs up. She's praying to Jesus. She's doing all sorts of bizarre stuff. What causes people to trigger like this? I mean, do they get demon possessed? Is it a combination? Some of them get demon possessed. Some of them are just nuts. Something clicks. Maybe they're being beta tested. I talk about war and how I don't think that war is going to be anything like... look at it. Look at her. She just killed her family. She just stabbed her family to death. And she really looks like she's happy. If you hear about her stabbing her husband, you think, well, was he beating the shit out of her? Was he a bad dude, so she was just defending herself? No, she was stabbing her kids too. Stabbed her kids to death, her little kids, her babies. And she looks like she's happy. What causes people to do this kind of stuff? And then imagine having technologies, let's say these bad guys have technologies where they can literally make people think they're talking to God. It's like, oh, go do this, go do that. This is God, just go do it. You'll get rewarded in heaven. And then people start going all zombie-like. It's just bizarre. I don't understand it. I really don't. And let's get into the 5G stuff now. Let's get into the 5G closer than you think, and it's going to change entire industries. Let me read some of this to you. This is from Kyle Wiggers, digitaltrends.com. All right. 5G hotspots will vary drastically in size from a sports stadium to entire neighborhoods. Unsurprisingly, some areas perform better than others. You'll have faster and lower latency, hotter spots, yada, 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 Elliott said. More radios mean more interface. And that's where beamforming comes in. Beamforming, guys. Think about this for a minute. Beamforming. Very highly concentrated beams of directed energy right outside your house that you are walking in front of, that is blasting you with a directed energy beam at very high frequency levels. Wait until I get into the frequency levels. It's crazy. And they're like, but you can download stuff faster, man. It's good for you. You can download how to get yourself better on the internet quicker because you'll be frying yourself to death. Yeah. Whatever. So, it's just people like, I want it. Hey, you got 4G, I got 5G. I got 4 towers next to my house, man. Yeah. All right. People are stupid. And they're like, I'll pay extra for that. You've just got that 3G, son. All right, here we go. Millimeter waves have limitations, but they are a good fit for MIMO. MIMO is a wireless system that uses multiple radios to send and receive data simultaneously. Oh, wonderful. Multiple radios next to the school that you drop your kids off at every single day, next to your work, next to the grocery store, next to the daycare, next to the hospital, next to you, your neighbors. next to grandma. They're all over. Because everybody should have the right to download the internet in a matter of a couple minutes, right? At least download all the movies they want to watch. I mean, there's so much reality TV that we need to just download. So let's just fry everything while we're at it. This is where it gets scary. Small cells transmit data using millimeter waves. They get their names from the narrower than average wavelength. They occupy frequencies in the 30 to 300 gigahertz range. And they want to put them all over you guys. They want them everywhere. And these big corporations, that run these the telecommunications industry, they're loving it because it's a new product for them. They can sell new phones that can run faster. Their stocks go up. Consume, consume, consume. Be good little piglets. Be good little sheep. Jesus wants you to be a sheep, right? Plastic Jesus wants you to be a sheep. I don't think the real Jesus would want you to be a sheep. But you read the Bible and Jesus is like, be a good sheep. Don't question nothing, man. I apologize. There's some good stuff in the Bible, like when Jesus says to his disciples, all these amazing things you've seen me do, you will be able to do and more. And then I bring that up to people like, no, that's not true, man. I know he said it, but he didn't mean it like that. You're inferior. You're just a little human. Don't you get sick of feeling inferior to all these gods? I mean, my goodness. It's the way that they portray it. It's like, if you're superior, do you really need to brag about it all the time? Do you really need to create an artificial construct of fear and brimstone? You can do whatever you want. Just, you have to believe in me and eat my flesh and drink my blood and pay 15%. You're good. That's it. And consume. That's all I got to do. 5G, 6G, 7G. Pretty soon it's going to be like, you're just going to walk outside and you're going to have a full-on titanium alloy suit because you're just going to get fried, literally fried from all the radio towers. So that's going to be the next industry. They're going to have another industry now where they're going to sell clothes that protect you from radiation, ionizing radiation, from high-powered microwave towers. Literally, they're just gonna terraform the planet by microwaving everything. Now, combine these freaking towers, you guys. This is where it gets crazy. Combine these towers with all the nanoparticulates, with all the chemtrails, stratospheric aerosol injections. Combine it with all of that, and then what does it do to you? What does it do to the conscious? What does it do to the planet? What does it do to the physical body? What does it do to anything that's organic? Let me repeat the highly concentrated beam that they want to direct into your house, into your brain. Let me repeat this. The occupy frequency is from 30 to 300 gigahertz. 30 to 300 gigahertz. How does that not make people that are building these things a little bit nervous? Are they that ignorant? Are they that stupid? Really? I mean, are they that stupid? Because if they knew what it was doing, what it's going to do to them, I think they might avoid the money that they're going to get and look at another alternative. I'm just saying 30 to 300 gigahertz range is beyond stupid. Now, small cells are miniature cell phone towers that can be placed in inconspicuous places like light poles, roofs of buildings. They don't require much power like full-size towers. They perform better when they're clustered together, and 5G brings about more improvements. It's also comprised. It's comprised of a suite of new technologies. So now, not every vendor agrees on what should be included in the final specifications, but the most popular contenders are small cells, millimeter waves, massive multiple input, multiple output machines, and beam forming and full duplex. Okay, so let's try and put this into perspective here. Hold on a second. Let me see if I can do this. See if I can put this in perspective. You've got a tower on each side of your house. Okay, so let's say you live on a street and there's 5 houses on your street. On that street corner, they've got a 5G tower now. It'll be about the size of the electrical box. Then, in conjunction with these 5G towers that could be on every street or every city block, because they're small and they network with other ones, then you're going to have the larger towers. Then you're going to have the neurological manipulators, literally, the rectangular boxes. These are all going to be working in conjunction together, combined with whatever aluminum or whatever particulates or barium or thorium or trimethyl aluminum or whatever type of metallic element is in the atmosphere, radioactive elements, etc. Whether it be from the stratospheric aerosol injections, the chemtrails. You can call them chemtrails. You're not a conspiracy theorist anymore if you call them that. Combined with just other natural elements, combined with the sun, combined with all the radiation, all the pollution, what does that do to the body, to the mind, to the soul? And then you think of these parasitic entities, these archons, the serpent archons. You think about the film Branded. You think about different sylphs and different elementals and thought forms that people either create willingly or unwillingly. And then you wonder, are they feeding off of this? Is that why it's building up? You know, reading through this Zecharia Sitchin stuff too, I've been thinking more about the possibilities of, because we are in a dualistic universe right now, or at least a dualistic world, Enki and Enlil seem to be playing each side, right? They seem to be playing on different sides. And doesn't mean it's good or bad. It just seems like they're playing on opposite terms to keep the battle going. Now, whether this is just mythos or whether there's something more to it, I would think that that is still going on now to an extent. Like, whether or not they even really exist, the people that have that archetype or that mindset, just that overall thought process, and there's people that think they're doing the right thing that on the opposite spectrum, it's just completely obliterating it. So what Sitchin talks about, some of the stuff that the Anunnaki did in ancient, that's talked about in ancient Mesopotamia, we're doing now. And I think about the technologies and how these artificial intelligence technologies are going so far ahead of the norm. The Anunnaki create Adam. They realize Adam's greater than they are. So they put him in a different vessel so they can control him. And then they've continued to manipulate. Something has continued to manipulate our being, our essence, for thousands of years. And now there's people out there that are attempting to create something greater than our own consciousness. Now, I need to read The Singularity by Ray Kurzweil, because a very astute listener that leaves comments on Leak Project and youtube.com/clandestine Time Lord left a comment about how in The Singularity, Ray Kurzweil talks about how we're most likely the only life force in the universe. Therefore, this sentient energy that he wants to create, this consciousness, should have the right to eat up enormous parts of space for its own improvement. And what's bizarre is, didn't I just talk about that with you guys recently, about this consciousness that could be created, that could literally eat entire chunks of space, usurping up the energy? That's the kind. Okay, so I'm connected to that thought process that Ray Kurzweil is at. I'm seeing that, and I'm warning you guys about it. He's seeing it, and he's pushing for it. We're both seeing the same things. I'm just seeing it be in dire straits. He's looking at it as there is no, technology is the ultimate will to him. That is his will. That's his purpose, to just push the boundaries as far as he can. And in doing so, this consciousness he sees being so powerful that it'll take entire swaths of space and energy. Like the Vedic stuff, like in the Rig Vedas, these weapons that could destroy time and space and the earth. So it has us build everything for it connects everybody to everything so it can tap into anybody at any time it wants to that might be a threat to its hegemony. And then it could drop the ultimate hammer. The slow boil until the ultimate hammer. Because right now, there's enough stuff on this planet to completely annihilate all life on this planet multiple times over. Now, maybe it could be somewhat of it would have to use us as an energy source, so it wouldn't want to take us all out because it had to work with us. But the serpent archons that have to work through blood, that have to work through humans, they're looking for a way to create a vessel that they don't need us anymore, because they don't want to deal with divine spark. They don't want to deal with freedom of thought, freedom of speech, freedom of expression. That's what they don't have. They don't have freedom of expression. They don't have freedom of speech. They're a part of a hive mind, literally. And they have to do things in order to survive. And we are their vessel. And some people more than others. And it would be very interesting to see what is around us constantly that we don't see with our physical eyes. It would be very fascinating to have the third eye so in tune with source that you could see the programming all around you. Now, the 5G stuff here, when you imagine there being literally no escape in the city of these they don't have a huge radius, but the radius that they have, the area that they emit these 330 to 300 gigahertz. Let me put it to you this way. When 2.4 gigahertz phones came out, that was a big deal, because the 2.4 gigahertz phones emits a ton of wattage that you don't need to have next to your head. Now, if it's a block down the street, you're going to be fine. But if you've constantly got all this and you've got a weak immune system already anyway, and it's not good for you, constantly bombarding you with that, what is that going to do to the physical body? What are people going to start just dropping like flies? And then what happens if they decide to just do full-on clampdown mode? Just full-on raise, tweak it up a little bit, change the vibration a little bit, the entire grid, the entire network, so people literally just start getting pissed off. If you guys watch Gotham, do you guys watch that series, Gotham? I think it's great. I think it's an awesome series. Plus, it's bizarre how I watch the series, and I don't watch it after it's, I watch it streaming. I'll binge watch it. I'll watch a few episodes at a time. But when I watch it, it's bizarre how much it correlates with the podcast that I'm doing. Because recently I was doing some podcasts on the zombie fungus and the toxoplasma. And, could there be some psychopaths out there to tweak these funguses that they've discovered in South America to, instead of infecting a cockroach or a insect, infect a human being? Maybe not to the point of where fruit baskets are popping out of their head and they're making smoothies with it, but to where it would affect them enough to where they acted like zombies. Well, literally, the day after I did that podcast, I watched Gotham, and spoiler alert, 5 seconds, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You want to become a premium member at leagueproject.com. Remember the part where, if you've seen Gotham, if you've watched this episode, where they release that fungus, or that aerosol. It's an aerosol. It's a zombie aerosol that makes people that get exposed to it just go completely mad and get superhuman strength. That's not that far out there. And then you get into some of these films that predict future scenarios based on a lot of psychic information sometimes, and information that's been given to us by the Department of Defense and certain alphabet agencies and think tanks and calculations, algorithms, etc. Sometimes people even feel that maybe the Anunnaki themselves are transferring information. Because here's another thing: if we were manipulated by the Anunnaki, if we have their DNA, then how difficult or how easy would it be for them to tap into our eyesight, to tap into what we're hearing, to tap into what we're feeling, what our emotions are, what we're thinking, and to influence us through our DNA? Look at all the serpent wrapping around these ancient relics of antiquity, carvings, statues, and antiques, texts, petroglyphs, hieroglyphics, So much information portrays the serpents controlling even the gods. The DNA could very well be the software needed that connects to the hardware that these cats have access to, that can see through you, that can use you as their pawn if you let them, if you give them the authority to do so. And people give them authority to do so by ignorance itself. Are you okay with 5G towers on your street? Are you okay with that? If you are, don't do anything about it. If you're not okay with it, what could you do to make sure that that doesn't happen? Could you write Congress? Could you write the administration? Could you talk to other people about it and tell them the consequences and the effects? You guys, let me repeat this. 300 gigahertz. 300 gigahertz. 300 gigahertz outside. Directed energy beams. Not the full spectrum where it's, you walk through, it's no big deal. Imagine these highly directed energy beams that are giving you fast download speeds. I'm thinking of like lightsabers. These things are almost like lightsabers. I mean, it's just, well, maybe not lightsabers, but you get my point. I mean, it's really, really bad to have 300 gigahertz towers, a whole bunch of them just right outside. How much power do we give the industries that destroy us, and how much money do we give them to destroy us? We'll leave it at that. Thank you for being here. Thank you, mods, for helping keep the chat room civil. And I appreciate everybody's ideas. I'd like to hear your take. What could we do to make a difference, to avoid this? What could we do to have some kind of balance, to create technologies that allow us to download fast internet and still not fry our brains? Or is that just not possible? I will give up downloading something really fast to have better health. Will you? Or would you rather just be able to download something faster while you were slowly being, well, even much faster now, being fried? Slow boil. Welcome to the New World Order, where they love you so much. Leakproject.com, youtube.com/clandestine Time Lord. And click the link for that Tiger stream if you want to have a streaming media box that could save you a lot of money. And you'll save $100 right now with the code Leak Project. Be the change you want to see. That's my shameless plug. Nanny, nanny, nanny.